everybody, my name is Maui. I'm going to be your deckhand and tour guide today. We've just entered Lover's Cove. It's a marine preserve. It's been a preserve for 54 years. So in this 54 years, there's been no anchoring of boats, no scuba diving, no fishing, netting, or harvesting of the sea in any way. There's no nets on the outside of the cove, preventing anything from leaving or keeping anything from coming in. What I'm going to go ahead and do is run upstairs, so what I've just done is I've fed the fish. And the two most common ones that will come across here in the cove are the opali and the calico bass. So we're looking at here for the most part. The opali is the gray one with the 1 or 2 white spots on its back, and the calico is the one with more of a checker pattern. The opali is going to get about 25 inches at its largest. It's going to live anywhere from 10 to 12 years. These guys are known as the filter fish. They're going to feed on the kelp, any microorganisms growing on the boat, floating in the water, even been known to feed on any sort of trash particles floating around in the water. Gum wrappers, cigarette butts, paper, plastic, basically anything small enough for them to consume that's floating around in the water. These guys are known as the buttonback because of the spot on their backs. Now a lot of people think that the name opali comes from that spot. It actually comes from the blue opalescent shading of their eye color. The spot on their back is actually there to confuse any sort of predators they may have. The calico is not going to get too much larger, about 28 inches at its longest. It's going to live quite a bit longer, about 30 to 34 years, which is a relatively impressive amount of time for a small sport fish of its size. These guys have a far healthier diet. They're far more carnivorous. They're going to feed more on the juvenile fish, on the smaller bait fish, and small crabs and crustaceans as well. The calico has a far more keen eyesight than the rest of the fish in the cove. Could see us just as well as we see it. When I go upstairs to feed the fish, if I dangle a cup of fish food over the side, the calico have actually been known to poke their head out of the water in anticipation for me to throw the food. Because they can actually see it in my hand. I swear the rest of the fish don't see the food until it actually hits the water. Now these fish are known as diurnal fish, means they're awake during the day and they sleep at night. So, because they don't have eyelids, what they'll do is they will hide in the crevices of the rocks and just go into a catatonic state overnight. Now while most of these guys are sleeping, that's when you're going to find the more nocturnal things moving around. Things such as horn sharks, octopus, lobster, bat rays and stingrays are a lot more active at night. The sea lions are a lot more active at night as well. These guys are also known as sedentary fish, which means they live in the same kelp forest their entire life. The only time they'll venture away is on the hunt for food. So you're going to notice as we continue on, they may follow us for a few moments, but for the most part, they're going to turn around and sink back into the kelp forest and remain in this section of the cove their entire lives. Common question I get is whether or not the fish are edible. So the calico have actually been nicknamed the sugar bass because they do taste so good, as opposed to the opali, which aren't known for tasting as good. My personal experience is the ability